Welcome back to Star Power Club. I'm Amy Stair, and we have a wonderful talent coming to us from St. Louis, Missouri. My friend Kim Cameron, I'm so happy you agreed to be interviewed for the club.
Thank you for inviting me. This is so exciting.
I think people will really enjoy hearing how you wound up in real estate. So why don't we start there?
Oh, wow. So I got out of college, was applying to grad schools, and my brother said, why don't you just come work for me? And he had just started rehabbing houses, and he needed to get a loan. And, he had average credit because he was, no offense to 20-year-old boys, but he was 27 and his credit was not great. And mine was perfection because I hadn't screwed it up yet. And so at 23 and 27, we got a non-conforming loan for 14% interest, and we're excited, and rehabbed a house together and put everything on credit cards. And at about 6 months, refied, paid off our debt, and pulled out $100,000 and started buying real estate. Wow. That's how I got into real estate. No doc loans, stated income. We started buying and rehabbing houses and sticking a sign in the yard, and we would redo an entire street. And eventually my sister-in-law started a mortgage company. We started building homes, and somebody had to get the real estate license, so that was me. So I got my real estate license. We had, agents that we didn't think were doing enough for us. So in 2003, I got my license, and within about a year, I thought, how hard is it to just sell and not all the other shenanigans and craziness? So I walked away and started being my own realtor in about the middle of 2004 and never looked back. And it's the craziest industry. I'm not sure my resume is going to, give me anything else that somebody would hire me for. And I would never do anything else. It's just a blast. It's a great way to, help the community, help people with home ownership and long-term wealth, and have the flexibility for your family.
You just encapsulated really that is the dream side of real estate for the practitioners versus the American dream of home ownership. You have a passion about what you do. And we're going to get into all the nitty gritty and the details. What fuels you? What keeps you motivated and excited to get up and go to work every day?
Well, I have a team that need to feed their families. So every day when I walk in the office, if my calendar isn't full, I time block every 30 minutes I'm there, or I don't get anything done. Or I will, let's go get some more coffee. Let's go talk to, I get very distracted very easily. So I'm extremely disciplined on time blocking, and my calendar is color coded on the priority of tasks and what's personal, what's business, what is for our team, what is for teaching, what is for, videos and everything else. But I think the biggest thing is not the big sale, not the face-to-face with past clients, but recently, we helped somebody that never thought they could be a homeowner or a single mom buy a house for $80,000 in a market where the average price is $300,000.
Wow.
And we worked with her for 9 months to get her credit fixed. And she and her 7-year-old little girl bought a house. That's the story of what we do that is so incredible, because not only did we change the life of that mom, but now we have a little girl that all of the statistics tell us not having to move every 12 months will change her self-confidence, her grades, and her ability to succeed later in life. So that motivates me more than probably anything else we do.
I see it in your eyes.
Yeah, it's so fun. Yeah, I love a first-time homebuyer seminar.
So I'm glad you mentioned that. What goes into a seminar for you guys? How do you set it up? This is a great way to generate business right now.
Yeah, it is. We made a plan at the beginning of the year to have 4 of them. And we had one in February with about 12 people show up. And the way that we handle everything, we handle a seminar the same way that we do a client event. It starts 90 days out. Do we want to do it? What are we going to do? Who are our core people? And then we get together with our lender, and we have our lender reach out to all of their clients who are 65 and over, who probably have children that are first-time home buyers. And then we go through social media, through some slide broadcasts to our entire database. Mm-hmm. If you haven't bought a home in a long time, or you've never bought a home, you need to come and find out what are the lender incentives, the grant and gift money, and all of the ways that you can achieve home ownership at a higher level than ever before. And it's an excuse for my team to pick up the phone and call and touch base with their people. And, with a background in a little bit of teaching, PowerPoint is fun for me. So putting that PowerPoint together and then having my team share rather than me being up at the front is just amazing, and seeing them blossom and grow. And then it builds a pipeline of first-time home buyers over time. We just did one in September, same thing. And people that didn't show were a great opportunity, said they were going to show up, were a great opportunity to pick up the phone and schedule one-on-one appointments and start building that pipeline. So
you mentioned slide dial and slide broadcast. So I just want to loop back to that really quick. That's a technology that some people aren't familiar with. So can you just give a little insight into how that works?
Sure. And that came from a star, of course. So slide dial is 1-800-SLY dial, SLY dial. It's an app, so you can circumvent the phone ringing and go straight to their voicemail. I started using it with my mother, who's shocking, very long-winded, when I just wanted to return the phone call and say, hey, Mom, I'll see you at 3, or those clients that you just want to get the information out and not have to have the long conversation. This is even before texting. Slide Broadcast allows you to upload a CSV file of a large quantity of clients to convey a message. And used sparingly and appropriately, it can be a great way to alert a large amount of people in your database that you have a client event. If there's been a storm or something major in the community, let them know, hey, I'm just checking in. If you need anything, we are out and about. We're here to help. Let us know how you're doing. And also for, hey, we're having a homebuyer seminar. We don't call it a first-time homebuyer seminar. We call it a homebuyer seminar so that it appeals to the broader, but typically it's going to be your newbies that are going to show up. But slide dial can be a great way to reach more people.
My realtor uses it, and I love it when I get those messages.
Yeah.
Okay, so back into the homebuyer seminar then, what is the follow-up after the seminar? I think it's where a lot of your peers fall down.
It's where the rubber meets the road. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. So the follow-up is getting together with them one-on-one, having them start with the lender. Where are you with your credit? Where are you with your finances? How much time do we need to work with you to get you into a position that you can achieve home ownership? And then having that buyer consultation, which we have with every single client. And talk to them about what it looks like to buy a home, what it looks like to walk through, understanding the market is competitive, and here are all the resources and ways that we can help you write a competitive offer without hanging you out to dry and having no safety net. And so they understand that before they've seen the first home, and setting them up for a search based on what their criteria might look like. So they start to get a preview of the market and maybe some open houses while they're working on their credit and going through being approved. And we like to do a fully underwritten approval. So it's 100% underwritten approved, subject to a contract and an appraisal.
That's
so
great.
they have a knowledge base that's typically better than their friends because we have given them so many tools and resources in advance before they even look at anything. Smart client's going to be a smart decision maker.
For sure. With the longer process, at what point do you enter into the conversation with your prospective buyers about your professional fees?
Buyer's agency comes up first. Now, I come from a location where we have always used buyer's agency since the 90s, so it's not new. What is new, and we have to explain to clients, past clients are probably the hardest, but we just explain, we work by buyer's agency. It is now required that we sign a buyer's agency in advance of looking at any home. So let's go through what that looks like. My professional compensation fee is on here. It is, we'll say cronuts for the purpose of the video, but it's 3 cronuts. And there are 3 ways I can be paid, by you, by the seller, or a combination of both. It's all negotiated in the contract. And they say, okay.
I hope that all of you are catching, don't overcomplicate this.
It's pretty simple.
We do that a lot in this business.
I mean, it's pretty simple. From the seller side, our listing agreement only has seller compensation. So it is truly 100% negotiated in the contract.
Wonderful.
But from the seller side, we always tell them, assume that there's going to be 3% compensation to the buyer side when we calculate your net. So it's going to be that or better. And they go, okay.
That's great.
It's not that difficult. People say I simplify it. I'm like, well, we make it too hard. I mean, it's Fleet Week in San Francisco. Come on, people. It's not that difficult.
So let me ask you this. You made this transition from rehabbing and turning houses into real estate. And you at some point realize, I don't want to do this alone. I know the team you have today has an incredible culture. I would love for our viewers to get an idea of the steps you took along the way and, the fail forwards, quite frankly, in building a team.
Oh, I am the champion of failing forward. I am the champion of spending too much and paying too much. My first full year in real estate, I had 52 transactions, and I had a lot of investors that were attracted to me because of my experience in rehabbing. And I went to my broker one day and she's like, how are you doing? She goes, you're kind of like fluttering around. And I said, I'm kind of losing my ever-loving mind. And I'm like, I think I need a buyer's agent. She goes, no, you need someone to help with paperwork. She goes, how is your paperwork? And I'm like, it's this big. So she said, well, Randy, helps other agents in the office with transaction management. I said, well, what do I pay her? And she goes, just give her 20% at closing. Now, do the math on 20% on 52 transactions. Her first year working for me, I paid her $72,000.
Wow.
Most people don't pay a transaction manager, but I failed forward. Then I met some star power agents who said, hey, you need a virtual assistant. And so that virtual assistant was $400 a transaction, and I cut that down to about $20,000. And by year 3, we added a transaction fee, and with the exception of VAs, we were veterans, VA loans, we were down to about $2,100. So I spent a lot failing forward. And Randy eventually became my first buyer's agent, and she's still with me to this day, 20 years later.
That's amazing. So I want to talk about that, because to create that environment where people will stay with you for that long in this industry is fairly unique. What are you doing to build that culture?
Take care of your people. Take care of your people is number one. Be there when you need them. If there's ever a doubt and our split is very detailed. My buyer's compensation plan is 8 pages for every scenario, every generation of referral, down to if you mess up and I have to get in and clean it up, you lose 10% immediately. But if there's a doubt on whether the compensation should be adjusted one way or the other, I'm always going to give it to them. They need to know that I'm going to take care of that. If there is a major issue, I'm always in the trenches. Part of the way that I have a preemptive strike on things is from contract to close, I am copied on every single email. So I always know what's going on without having to micromanage. When I hire someone for my team, and I know we'll kind of get into maybe some of that at some point, but I am the third interview, and my interview starts with, what are your financial goals? So I will make sure that they can meet their financial goals. And if they can't, then they're not going to stay on my team very long.
Why are you the third interview?
Because I'm horrible at interviewing. I am horrible at hiring. I'm the absolute worst. I'm great at firing. I'm wonderful at firing. I can script out firing for anyone. But I hire the wrong people. I'm like, oh, look at those shoes. Oh, you like to go to you're a Tito's girl? Done. I'm horrible at hiring. So my approach has always been, my former broker who's now on my team, she's the clearinghouse. She's a high D. She will meet with them, have a conversation, determine, are they good for real estate? Are they good for our company? Are they good for our team? Will they fit our culture? And if she thinks yes, then their second interview is meeting the team. Because if my team doesn't like this individual, they're not going to meet me. Why waste my time? Mm-hmm. But by the time they get through that process, then they're going to meet with me and we talk about financial goals. And if their financial goals, new to real estate, is to make $100,000 in 6 months, I'm in the Midwest. That's probably not realistic. But if they're attainable goals, then I can help them get there. If they're nice and they communicate, I can teach you anything. That's kind of where it starts. So
wonderful. And then ongoing, I know you pour a lot into your people. So let's just talk about that a little bit.
I think you need to teach your team to hunt and gather. Mm-hmm. And I teach them to hunt through some weekly expectations. But I'm not one to say, so how many calls did you make? I'm not going to micromanage. If you're not an upstarter and have that fire in your belly, you're not going to be successful in real estate or any other sales, much less my team. But we focus on what I call the top 50. So each one of us has the top 50, and it could be 40, it could be 70, but that top core, who are the past clients and could be vendors that know, love, and trust you the most, that if we just keep up with them at a higher level, a large chunk of our business and referrals could come from them. And so that is where we focus on monthly mailer postcard that goes out and our weekly touches of handwritten notes, text messages, face-to-face, and just connecting with them at a higher level. So that at any point in time, if they find an opportunity, whether it's my painter walking into a house, learning to say, hey, Amy, are you painting because it's time? Or are you thinking of making a move? Because I know a lot of realtors, and I can tell you who you actually want to work with.
So you're teaching your vendors.
I teach all my vendors. Yep.
Brilliant.
And that goes from me always feeding the vendor to the vendor finding opportunities for me and everything under the sun. So if you can teach those people around you to pick up the phone and remember that if there's any question in real estate, even if their neighbor needs someone to, refinish their hardwood floors, you know what? You should call my realtor. She knows everyone. That's the level of top of mind that we want to be. I don't spend money buying leads. I will pay a realtor a referral fee all day long, but we don't spend money buying leads. We nurture and love on our people at a higher level, at a very purposeful, intentional approach with a smaller amount of the database. The others get, dripped on and rained on throughout the year. But that small group, if you can touch them twice a month, plus everything else that they're getting touched with, should result in 25 to 50% of your business coming from them.
So you've talked about, with you and I have talked about, and I want to share with the viewers, the weekly 35. So can you break that down for us? What exactly is it that you're doing?
Yeah, so Randy has been in the business since 1989. She's been with me since late 2004. And so a big part of her database doesn't have email because there wasn't email. And they might have had a home phone number, but maybe no longer. And we've been reaching out to them for all of this time, and they're not responding. They're not coming to our client events. They get a Mother's Day card, a Father's Day card, happy holidays, and we're just not connecting. So how do we connect at a higher level in a authentic way that's cool, not creepy, that works for us? And so I put together a way that we could do that. And it's every week is 20 handwritten notes. Now, some people will say, oh my gosh, 20 is a lot. But if you write 10, it's probably 9 more than the average realtor. So 20 is the attainable goal. And there are times that maybe handwritten notes aren't going to happen because you're on the fly and there's so many things going on in real estate. And there's times a year that happens. So maybe one of those handwritten notes is a text or a video text. Totally fine with that. But I really prefer a handwritten note that is not on embossed, branded stationery. It's just a little note from you. And we like to have we call them sticky business cards, the size of a business card that we order from Sticker Giant, that they put in there because if they look at the card and there's your business card, the card goes in the trash and they hang on to your business card and they don't know why. But if we have that little business card attached to it, they might have a little bit more real estate on their counter before it goes into recycling. But just that, using all of the data and information we have from social media to just write 2 sentences of like, oh my gosh, Amy, I just saw your new basket of kittens. They're adorable. I can't believe you have 4 kittens. I'm so proud of you. Let's get together soon. Just something that you see online and take it offline into a handwritten note is impactful because not a lot of people get mail.
So we've got 20 notes.
That's the 20.
Okay.
The 10 is calling your past clients. It sounds crazy, but a lot of people don't take the time to pick up the phone and a strategic, systemized way to call their past clients. And if you can't get through 10 calls in a week, then shame on you. But I'm telling you, if you make 5, it's probably 4 more than the average realtor, and you shouldn't be average. So just pick up the phone. That's only 40 past clients a week or a month. That's not a lot. And by the way, some of you are going to go, oh my gosh, I can call 20. Good. Make it 30. Increase that amount. But my minimum is 10. And then 3 face-to-face with past clients, vendors, people that are in your sphere every single week. And it can be grabbing a coffee, a new mom going to the park, walking their dog, going to the dog park, grab a cocktail, whatever it is that fits you. Do a walk and talk. One of my agents gets together with people in the neighborhood and does a walk and talk, and she's started inviting clients that live in the area to join. And it's a great way for her to just stack them up in 1 hour a week. It's not that difficult. And then the last 2 is random acts of kindness. This business is hard. We've had a rough year, and it's really easy to do a lot of prospecting and have rejection or not reach anyone, or the seller you've been talking to for a year and you're so excited to work with them and you've told them everything they need to do to prepare their home has a niece that just got her real estate license.
Of course.
And now they're going to trust their most important investment with her. Let's just call her Karen. They're going to trust Karen. So, and you have to shake it off. So put something positive, compliment, I always say the ugly baby, thank a veteran for their service, buy someone coffee, do something to put something positive into the community.
How important has that been to you personally as a part of your overall routine?
Oh, it's a game changer because otherwise I wasn't connecting with my people. And I mostly work with sellers. So past clients that are buyers, I wouldn't meet until they were a seller or they came to one of our client events. And half the time I'd be like, I don't know what that is, and I'd look around or maybe they changed their hair. So it was a great way for me to pick up the phone and say, I know you worked with Amy 2 years ago. I can't believe it's been 2 years since you've been in your house. I just wanted to call and see how things are going. How are things with your house? By the way, if you ever need anything, we're always here. And we love working with nice families and, nice people like you and your husband. In my experience, nice people have really nice friends and family. So keep us in mind and make a connection if anyone has a question or thinking about making a move.
How about the people that weren't so nice? How do you follow up with them?
Some of them they go, we don't have a lot of those. We only have 2 that I can think of. They're still on our list, but I won't talk to them. Okay. They were incredibly mean. And I don't have a lot of mean, but I don't mind dropping bad business.
What advice do you give to people who are clinging on to every person, even when they're in that negative space?
Well, for every piece of bad business that you cling on to, there's 3 opportunities that appreciate and respect you. Drop them, let them go.
Good attitude.
If you're clinging on to the money, it's not going to work. If you take care of your people, the money will come.
So I want to circle back. You do the homebuyer seminars. Mm-hmm. What other things are you doing to bring new business in?
So we're doing a right sizing seminar in November. So kind of the opposite, rather than a downsizing or right sizing. We have a lot of clients on our database that are over 65. And I love boomers. They have a lot of money. They typically don't have a loan and they don't know how to transfer wealth correctly and at a tax savings. So we bring in an accountant, we bring in our loan officer, and we just kind of go through you're spending half of the year in Florida or Arizona. How do we maybe downsize in St. Louis and take that money and invest it elsewhere? So we kind of look at the whole systemic process. And typically, we're going to pick up either a few listings, but then we're also going to be like, we're not ready to move, but you need to talk to my daughter. And done well over the next 6 months, we'll have anywhere from 3 to 6 opportunities that come to fruition.
That's pretty good return on the investment of time.
Yeah, we do a lot of follow-up.
You've mentioned to me in the past, you're not an advocate to pay to generate new business. So let's talk about, you talked about loving on your top people, and each of you on the team has your core. You also mentioned micro farming. Let's talk about how that came to pass and what exactly it is.
I don't know if micro farming is really a thing. It's just what I call it. I know these agents that have been around forever in my own market and agents I've met around the country that tell me they send out 10, 20,000 postcards a month. And the idea of that expense has always been daunting. I run a very profitable, very lean expenses on my team. So a few years ago, we had a listing come up from a past client. Their mother was 92 and passed away. And so I kept going to the house and I'm driving, you go down the cul-de-sac to turn around and leave. And I'm like, there's an old Buick. There's a ramp. Those are really overgrown landscaping. There's a bunch of little tchotchkes in the yard and little, silk plants that are faded. I'm like, this is a street of old people. And I love old people. I specialize in divorce, death, and doctors. So I love old people. And so I thought, well, gosh, this is a big neighborhood. So I ran a report on the neighborhood. It's like 500 homes. And I'm like, okay, who's been in their home at least 20 years? It was like 350. And I was like, statistically they should be moving at some point. So then I did 30 years and then I shorted down to the best cul-de-sacs and streets and I came up with 60 addresses. And on the 7th and 21st of the month, they get a postcard from us that says, need help decluttering, need a handyman, curious about your home's value, not sure where to start. If you answered yes to any of this, we can help. We're very hands-on. And slowly over time, I started getting phone calls saying, I need a handyman, or I'm thinking of making a move, or my kids say I should move, but I don't know. Well, why don't I come by? I mean, I'm like a dog. If you feed me, I'll always return. So give me coffee, give me a, something, and I'm loyal. So, and that just turned into opportunities. And we're like, okay, where are some other neighborhoods that we can do that? So now we're up to 4 small micro farming neighborhoods. Some are over 1 million. Some are specific to where one of my agents lives and is very involved in the community. And it's just another way to fill the pipeline and doesn't take a lot of effort. And each one has an email address specific to the postcard, so we know when it's coming through. Mm-hmm. And it goes to our voice over IP phone number, so I can track it. And it's just, I call it and then some. What are all the different incremental and then some ways that you can fill your pipeline without doing an overhaul to your business? Because I get excited when I go to Star Power and I get excited when I go to conferences. I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to do this. I'm like, no, I don't need to do that. I don't need to overhaul an already successful business, but how can I take that and incrementally enhance and improve, and in each pillar find ways to find 2 or 3 more opportunities times 10 pillars. That's how you incrementally grow. 10% a year over 5 years versus, 10 more clients every year. How do you grow incrementally and in a way that you can leverage appropriately and not break the bank and take away from your family? I always lean on Ron Phipps, who was our NAR president in 2011. And he says, he's known for saying, make sure that your family gets the best of you, not what's left of you. Mm. And sometimes in this business, we give it all to our clients and our family gets what's left. And the way that I flip that script with clients is I'm available 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. That's 11 hours a day, Monday through Friday. And weekends are for negotiating contracts and family. And no one has said, I'm sorry, you have golden retrievers. But it's a way that I can control my time. And I tell them after 8 p.m., you get what's left of me. And that's not me doing my fiduciary job.
What a wonderful way to manage expectations.
A lot easier with sellers than buyers, but it usually works.
What do you hear from buyers?
In what respect?
When you set up this framework.
Well, with buyers, we tell them by the weekend, the good houses are gone.
There's a great dialogue right there.
By the weekend, the good ones are gone. If they come on Friday, we should look at it. And by the way, if you're going to make an appointment with your accountant, your dentist, your attorney, your orthodontist, your physician, your you name it, your pediatrician, when is that? That's Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. Why are we looking at houses in the evening when we can't see the yard? Let's get in before everyone else because everybody looks on the weekend. So schedule an appointment for 2 hours with me during the week like you would any other professional in your life. And I promise you we'll find the right houses.
That's great.
Yeah.
Absolutely great.
Free up your weekends.
I love it.
Especially if you have littles. You can't get that time back with little kids.
No, you sure can't. Or puppies. Let's talk about, you have, first of all, what I notice about you, Kim, is you're a very social person, but you also very much love the logistics of the business, the mechanics of the business. So what are some of the tools that you're using that really benefit your team?
Yeah, I am a logistics person. I'm on the DISC scale. I'm a unicorn. I'm a high I and a high C.
Me too.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
I met another one. If I could run my business from like my laptop and a spreadsheet, I wouldn't leave the house. I love to be able to track business. I'd love to be able to track opportunities and be able to share that with my team of, hey, here's what we closed this month. And by the way, congratulations, Nancy. 3 of these opportunities came from you. Great job nurturing, and I like to reward success and not harp on failure. Failure is just a learning opportunity. Mm-hmm. And just making sure that we all know how the sausage is made to a certain extent so that they realize that this business doesn't happen without all of us working together.
Yeah.
But from a back-end tool standpoint, I love all things Google. So we use Google Sheets for I call it the in-between. Your CRM is for cultivating and tracking your past business, but the in between, the opportunity that comes in from 50 different places that isn't in your CRM because it's not a buyer or seller yet. Those are the things that get lost. So we use Google Sheets for all of the buyer and seller opportunities that our team plugs in. And once a week, my team meets. And for the last 6 months, it's been in person, but typically it's via Zoom. And we go through the buyer pipe, the seller pipe. Is this current? Who did you meet with this week or talk to that is thinking about moving in 6 months that we need to make sure is in here? Because when I'm meeting with a seller, I can go through our buyer prospects and say, hey, by the way, we have 3 buyers right now that are looking in your area. And then we can have a whole conversation about how we might be able to achieve top value without you having to go through the arduous task of getting your house spotless and putting it on the market. And then the buyer is willing to pay a premium for the gift of not having to compete and have multiple offers. And for the right scenario, it's a good pairing. And it's great. And if it's a specific...
It's a great dialogue right there. I hope you guys are getting all this written down.
Yeah, it's a great pairing. And then a lot of times, especially when I know I'm competing, I'm going to bring a member of my team with. Hey, this is Amy. She is working immediately with buyers searching in this area. She's going to be here for the beginning of our time together as we walk through the house because she might have a buyer that would be perfect for your home.
Wonderful.
And I know that whoever I'm competing with is not doing that.
Another great script.
Yeah.
Other than the Google platform, you mentioned SlideDial. Everybody always wants to know what CRM. There's no perfect CRM, people. I'm just going to tell you right now.
No, it's like a diet. The only one that works is the one you use. Everybody I know begrudgingly hates them. I just made a brokerage change in April. So we are slowly in the process of diving into KV Core.
Okay.
So I'm a little bit too premature to tell you how much I love it or hate it, but we're working on it. And a big part of changing brokerages, I think, can be a model for anyone who isn't sure where all of their stuff is we have been going through making sure that we have the 4 data points on every single client, name, address, email, and phone, and separating. Because for years, it's like, oh gosh, what do we do with these people that we don't have all this information? They're going to get a few mailers a year. They're either going to pop or they're not. And we're really focusing on the others and making sure we have great data. So now they're in an archived status. And if we hear from them, then we can move them over to something else. So that has allowed us to automate some of our social media just for additional things. So true story, Canada's Thanksgiving was yesterday. I thought it'd be great to include Canadian holidays. So I had to tweak that on my Facebook page for our team that it's not Thanksgiving, it's Happy Thanksgiving to our friends up north. But it can automate some of those things that, again, is just additional to what we're already doing to just connect. So that's been good for us. But I don't love any particular CRM like the rest of the world. But I think KV Core is as good or as bad as anything else. I think it might be a little bit better. Yeah, time will tell. Ask me in a year. I'm
glad you brought up the brokerage change because regardless of whether somebody's going from a big to a small, from independent back to a brand, there are a lot of things to consider when you make a change. And because you are so detail-oriented, share with us part of what you went through in your evaluation of, I'm going from here to here. First of all, what precipitated thoughts of making a change? So I have been with the same broker for 17 years, over 2 different national franchises. So, which is a little bit unique. And my broker had some health problems and decided, you know what, I think it's time for me to just not be a broker and be a realtor, which is a huge gift to her. And the first thing I said is, why don't you join my team? And she said, I thought you'd never ask. So I have this amazing broker who is an awesome problem solver, great high D, and can close anything that joined my team. So I got the best of both worlds. And when it came time for that, I'm in a market that's a decent size, not a huge market, 9,300 realtors in our local association. And after a couple decades, you kind of know who are the brokers that you respect, that are good problem solvers too, that you actually want to work with. And those are the ones that I called. And when it came down to it, compensation was a key part, but also the technology. Did they have a CRM that I might want to buy into? And did they have the great staff and back-end support? And in the end, it was a good fit. So what it forced us to do, which I think a lot of us don't do often enough,
is scrub our database. We are constantly mailing out, but we have scrubbed. And then I added my broker plus another agent to my team. So there are 7 of us now. 6 of the 7 of us sell. My husband's always been with me, but he's always back end. I say he's the pretty face with the big brain that gets things done on the back end. But so adding to the database, increasing it, and making sure that when we take that content and do I call it the dump, the data dump, that we don't lose Mother's Day, Father's Day, birthdays, home anniversary, when did they buy, what did they pay, and all those kinds of things. And I kind of just got to the point, I'm going to give up all the historic notes, and I'm just going to keep the most current, which is, do they have kids? Do they have dogs? Do they have cats? And when was the last time we sent them an equity evaluation? And just move forward from there. And the rest is just archived data. So
I caught a little piece of language in there. I love, Kim, that you are mindful of the words you use. So equity evaluation.
Yeah, we stopped calling it a CMA because I look at it as, I'm going to call a client and say, hey, you've been in your home for 5 years. The market has really done, a good deal of justice for you on your value. So why don't we evaluate how your equity is performing in your real estate portfolio? And it's an equity evaluation. In the same way a financial planner is going to evaluate how your portfolio is performing, we're going to look at how the equity is performing. And so we just call it an equity evaluation. And rather than sending a CMA, we have a pretty market update that I created in Canva that takes about 3 minutes to click, and enter the data. And it's personalized. And it's just their monthly equity evaluation based on wherever they're at. And
that sounds like a template that your whole team has probably got access to.
Yeah. And over time, because I'm a slow learner, my whole team uses the same Canva account. So now the customized for each individual, each team member has their own folder. So when I create something for a client event and they have their own little personalized version that they can text out, they have it in their folder and they know where to find things.
Wonderful.
Versus them digging around or messing up a template. There's nothing we can't fix. But Canva is a big part of our marketing.
You are a marketer. You are a marketing ninja, in my opinion.
Thank you. That's very kind.
And I think it's a major contributor to why you are able to keep your business focused more narrowly than casting a wide net. So talk to me about your own approach to marketing and just your, are you stacking the efforts? Like I heard you just saying Canva, everybody's getting a template customized to them, but you've got a main template. How much of the rest of your marketing is run that systematically?
Most of it's pretty systematic. I always believe that social media is part of your branding. We're going to pull out, maybe a dozen opportunities each year just from being out there. And when I say opportunities, those are people that aren't already in our database. And occasionally those that we've lost touch with that choose social media as a form to engage with us through a DM. But I think most of it is just that high touch, less than, a social media post. People say, oh, you do a lot on social media. I really don't. I don't share when I travel a lot because if I'm out of the market teaching or on vacation, I'm probably going to share that after I'm back, if at all, because the last thing I want to say is, well, Amy, I would have called you, but you're always out of town. You never want to hear that. You're never around, or you're so busy. I thought you might be too busy for us. The B word. But I like to take what I see on social media, whether it's, someone got a promotion, and rather than doing a big smiley or hooray or an emoji, take that as an opportunity and have the handwritten note and send them maybe a gift card to Starbucks or a local restaurant and say, go celebrate on me. Congratulations. Take that information to a higher level. Take that big beast that is Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and use it for a higher level of personal touch. Even in the sad stuff, you find out that somebody's mom just found out they had breast cancer. We have the sad emoji, or we can send them a personal card and say, how can I help? Pick up the phone. Just say, been there. It affects all of us. What can I do to help you right now? What makes your life easier? Because most people don't know what to do and they say nothing.
I think it's wonderful that you're bringing it back to the personal touch. How has your team responded to the way you lead by example? What's been the benefit?
The benefit is I'm seeing them. I'll hear them on the phone and I'll go, oh, that's a Kimism. They listen to me. Yeah, I heard them say,
I part of your personality just loves
and
that.
sometimes they're things I've learned from other stars, like Alexis Boland. I'll say, look, it's a beauty contest and a pricing war. We got to win both. And I'll hear them say that on the phone. I'm like, Alexis would be so proud. But I see them getting more involved in their community, getting involved with things outside of just real estate. We have one that's on the PTA, one that's on the board of their local ski club. We have big hills and they ski. They ski the Midwest. I know, isn't that funny? And involved with their religious affiliations and those kinds of things. And one that's very involved with St. Baldrick, which is children's cancer and research. We just did a trivia night for that last Friday.
Fun.
So all those kinds of things. And I see them engaging and looking at ways that they can help people. And in their social media and in the way that they're talking to their clients, realizing that all we're doing is telling a story. We're telling the story of the experience. We're telling their story moving forward. And when we are sharing, it's not sharing that, the last client we sold in this neighborhood, had 7 offers. It's the last client in this neighborhood. We met with them and worked with them hands-on for about 9 months and helped them find painters and new carpet and replacing light fixtures and helping them find people to move furniture into storage and then professional staging to put the home in a position that it was going to perform above the market. And is that something that's important to you? Telling those stories, like, what are your goals? Not everybody wants to have multiple offers and get top value. Some just want to get out and they have enough equity that $10,000 one way or the other doesn't matter. So we can't assume. But sharing the stories of past clients versus saying, well, all my homes sell for 10% over asking price. And every house is this. It's, well, what are you looking for? And what are your financial goals? And what's your net that we need to achieve or higher? And let's start from there.
But beyond that, I hear you making an emotional connection.
You have to. And some of them just you don't connect with.
Very true.
It's going to happen. It doesn't matter what you ask. It's a 2-sentence or 2-word response. And you go, we are not going to be besties when this is over. I am not going to be there in case of emergency person. And that's okay.
You keep a sense of humor about this business. So I want to talk about your attitude. I mean, Kim, you've had some major health struggles and you've navigated some difficult markets. And yet every time I'm around you, you are so up.
I mean, what's the alternative? I mean, if you stick your head in the ground, your business is going to suffer because everything we do today impacts our business in 90 days. So doing nothing will never help anything. I'm grateful. I've had lupus for 37 years, since I was 14 years old, and I've been in remission for more than 2 decades. So I'm grateful that whenever I've needed someone in my life, there's always been that random person out of the blue that's there to help. And I'm healthy and I'm able to help others that need it. So it ebbs and flows. So, I mean, my worst day in real estate is better than my best day with active lupus. I mean, perspective. So it can be anything.
What do you do for or with your team members when you notice they're not in a good space?
I usually take them out of play. Last week, I had an agent that was just, you know, you have those days where your tolerance is really low and you get frustrated. She was in tears within about 10 minutes because she just couldn't do something technology-wise. And my response was, we can't be pretty and smart at the same time every day. It's okay. And today is not your day to be smart. Go grab a pint. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. I'll see you in an hour. And she goes, okay. I mean, why have her continue working today? It's just, I'm not going to get anything quality out of her until I get her to flip where she's at. So I met her for lunch. She likes beer. She likes IPAs. I don't drink beer. And I got her attitude turned around. But in turn, I've seen the team start doing that for each other.
Incredible.
Because if I'm not around, I need to make sure the engine is still running. And that's what I told them yesterday. I'm like, look, I'm out of pocket tomorrow. You need to lean on each other, lean on our staff, lean on the broker. I am last resort and there are no emergencies in real estate. So don't call me. and they lean on each other now. And now they noodle over scenarios and contract negotiation with each other and don't come to me as often, which I love seeing.
That's wonderful.
It's huge.
You have worked really hard to create what I'll refer to as a legacy business. Let's talk just a bit about that.
Well, being somebody that's had an autoimmune disease, even though it's been in remission since most of my real estate career, I have always had an approach of, if at any point in time something happens and I have to be pulled out of the business, can somebody step into my mess? And so, because if you walk into my office, is the desk a mess or is it organized? And I don't leave town with a messy desk. A messy desk is an analogy in this scenario.
Yeah.
So what does that look like? And I have, an heir apparent on my team that can run the day-to-day when I'm either just in rainmaker mode and not actively working with clients, or move out of state, either scenario. So this year, what I started building was an ops manual for me, which I'd never built before. I always have an ops manual that is in the office. They can grab it anytime. We have a laptop that has duplication of all marketing. So if something they need isn't available in the cabinet, they can pull it, they can edit it. But I didn't have an ops manual for me. So what are the things that if I'm out of play or I'm no longer on the day-to-day, do I need to make sure someone else is handling? Whether it's, we own our own Matterport. If I move out of the market and take the Matterport with me, who is my photographer that does Matterport? From simple things like that to some of the tasks that I do in the office, who do I need to hire and what is that going to cost? And how do I do long-term budgeting for that? Because my business plan is done at the end of the year and I don't typically deviate. If something really cool, or I get a great idea, and I have one great idea that I'll share, I put it on my calendar for the following October or November to look back at so I don't forget it. And it keeps me, in budget and not getting excited about the shiny new object in the room.
That's great.
Yeah.
I want to just anchor this ops manual for you.
Yeah.
I think so many of our leaders have not taken the time, and it's one of the reasons they feel trapped.
It's scary. It is scary because it also, it helps you evaluate, like, what are the things that you're still doing that you should hire for or hand off to your staff? Where am I micromanaging things that I don't need to be doing? Our staff at our office will do all of our brochures. I'm like, oh, I like mine better. It takes 5 minutes. Well, does the brochure inside the house when the buyer's already there sell the house? Does it matter? No. Is it prettier? No, but who cares? So there's certain things that I've started to let go and evaluate. And by the way, who is the VA I can hire for this? And who does this better? And learning how to, exit the business. And as a result, agents I'm seeing that want to exit the business say, how do you exit the business? It starts with you. It starts with identifying what are the things you do that can't be done if you're gone, and how do you find out people that are going to do it for you?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's been pretty scary and eye-opening.
So you dropped a little, I have a great idea.
I did.
I'm not letting you get away with that.
Okay, so, I love dogs. I have 2 golden retrievers. I have a very feral 1-year-old puppy who's insane, named Missy, Missy Pants Cameron. And so we have been doing for the last few years a yappy hour. And we have a little bandana that says, need a bigger yard, talk to my realtor.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
And I was somewhere a couple years ago and I found a onesie that said, I'm the reason we're late. And I bought it because I thought, somebody's going to have a baby. And I thought, what about I'm the reason we moved? For like a newborn to a toddler.
Love it.
Because people have moving, or need a bigger yard, talk to my realtor. Need a place for your swing set, talk to my realtor. So I'm in the process of kind of designing, because you see the ones that say, oh, I got my crib from. I've never really loved that. It's cute, but need a bigger yard, talk to my realtor works for kids and babies too.
Yes.
So I'm the reason we moved is going to be from newborns up to 4T in bright colorful t-shirts that aren't necessarily on brand, but more kid focused.
Very fun.
With our logo on it. So, and rather than just handing out dog bones and when we walk into a listing appointment, if we know they have kids, I'm going to have a little bevy of t-shirts and onesies that say, oh my gosh, I can't, the twins are adorable. Here you go. And they're going to laugh, hopefully, or throw them away. I hope they don't throw them away. But,
oh, goodness, no.
And bonus points if you, share that on our Facebook page and yours and tag me.
Fun.
So yeah, I've got it. If it's not fun and I don't buy into it, it's never going to happen. I mean, the brightest realtors I know will share something and I go, gosh, they're amazing. It's not me. You have to do things that fit your personality.
For sure.
And then level up.
So you mentioned the Yappy Hour. I'd love to get some details on how you've put that together and what you've seen evolve since you started doing it.
So, Yappy Hour is just a dog happy hour. We have bars that have a dog, park in the back of it, and then the dogs can go inside if they're on leash. We have an actual indoor-outdoor dog park with a restaurant and bar attached to it that's for dogs.
Oh, wow.
And, when they show up, I have a credit card that pays for them to get in if they don't have a membership. And so they just add it to my tab, and we give them a dog bandana, and then strangers will walk up and say, can I have one of those lime green bandanas? I've seen all these dogs wearing them. I'm like, absolutely. How many dogs do you have? Oh, you have 4 dogs? Here you go. Oh, your friend has a dog? Here you go. And then all of a sudden there's 40 dogs running around in lime green dog parks that say, need a bigger yard, talk to my realtor, with the big Kim Cameron logo on there in lime green, slightly subtle color. And so we bring them to closing when people have when they're closing and they have dogs. We've stopped ignoring cats. If we know their cats' names and dogs' names at closing, if you have pets, we'll go to PetSmart or Petco and have engraved new tags for the dogs and the cats.
With their new address on them. Oh, that's a cool idea.
Yeah. So I'd love to get an engraving machine. I just haven't gotten around to it. It's always on the list and never happens.
In your abundant free time.
In my abundant free time. In all of our abundant free time.
I'd be remiss, and I know you won't talk about it unless I ask you. You teach all over the country. What drives that desire to pour back into this industry?
Well, this industry has given me a lot. And, most of the successful things I do in my business came from other successful realtors, a lot of star power. And, at a certain point in time, when you're given a lot, you need to give back. And when I started teaching, I also learned that the byproduct is not only the joy that you get when you see it, like someone's eyes light up and you're like, oh my gosh, they get it. Or they go, you just fixed a problem in my business. But then you also learn from them. Mm-hmm. And so you bring that back to your business and then you carry it forward into the next class, whether it's a 1-hour session at a conference or a full day course. And it just re-energizes me. And it's usually at a point where I'm completely just exhausted and burnt out at the office. And that day or two away is amazing. 2 weeks ago, I taught in Columbia, Missouri on a goat farm. By far, I've taught in a circus tent too.
Goat yoga, and now we have goat real estate.
It was amazing. And he has this really cool building with a bar and a TV and these big glass garage doors that open. And the goats were right outside. So I would say, I'm thinking I need a goat break. I'm like, okay, let's do a 10-minute breakout. And I would grab some animal crackers and I'd go play with the goats. Like the coolest class. I mean, I don't get that if I don't teach. And there's the referrals that come, not just to me, but I'll get agents that have been in my classes saying, hey, I know you know everyone. I need someone in California or, in San Francisco in this area. Who do you like or who do you know there? And I can connect them. And then that they're going to have a good experience and then have that residual income. But the teaching has just been fun. I'm not doing as much this year by design, but I have a limit. I won't teach more than 40 times a year. 40 times on the road is a lot. And I'm always heavy in the first 4 months of the year. And then I'm light, with the exception of NAR. I'm light in May through August because that's our heavy season. And then September and October are all conferences. It's a little crazy, but it's fun. And I started bringing my team. I think you met Lisa at a conference earlier this year. And so I'm starting to shepherd them along because they want to go. And going to a probate class with our probate buddy in a few weeks. I'm taking a couple members of my team too to see buddies. So it's great for them to start getting out and understanding what I get out of always being there. And Linda Craft said it best years ago that earners are learners and leaders are readers. And so if I want my team to earn more, they got to learn. I have to always be bringing back and making sure that they're seeking education and seeking solutions to problems. so that they're, always looking for that next level up.
Well, you sure are a wonderful model of always looking for the next level up.
Try.
I can't wait to see what the next 5 years look like for you.
Oh, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. I don't want a bigger team, but I want to see my team be even more profitable. I want them to just constantly be moving the bar in their goals and, take care of their families and just have better quality of life and be more disciplined on their time. That's the toughest thing in real estate, is to be disciplined on your time.
For sure.
And somebody calls you and says, I want to see a house in an hour, and it's a house that's a really high price for your market, and you want to drop everything. And I'm like, well, I'm not available because you're at your son's baseball game. Family first. That's how we business plan. We start with family. All of your vacations, all the major life events, then we plug in the rest.
I love that.
So,
Kim, this has been a wonderful hour. Thank you so much for pouring so much back into the industry that has served you so well.
thank you for having me. This is a gift. You've always been a gift in my life, so thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you. I have to believe that you've gotten at least 3 great ideas out of this interview. Share them with someone you know in the business, help them along, and encourage them to get involved with the Star Power Club. On behalf of Kim, on behalf of all of your stars, I'm Amy Stair, CEO. Thank you for tuning in.